Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be putting together my Project Life spread for the week of December 4th through December 10th, 2023. And I'm working with supplies from my stash and trying to use up some older supplies. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I decided I want to try to do some stash busting, and primarily I want to work with the 5th and Frolic Edition of Project Life. I have a lot of these older Becky Higgins kits and I tend to not use them because there's so many cards that they're not really worked into my stash and because they have the rounded corners. But a lot of them are still so gorgeous and work really well even today, even though they are so much older. So I thought it'd be great on the back of this one from last week because I have all these 3x3 squares. And so I can easily crop the 3x4 card down and get rid of the rounded corners. So like this card here that says home is where your story begins, I think is going to be a great one. I'm definitely going to want to use that. So I have my photos here. And then on this side, I have 3 4x6 pockets is the configuration I decided to use. And then I have a couple of 3x4 photos that I printed. And then, so I'm going to have to fill those with other things. And then I have some, like notes that I got this week that I wanted to just put in one as like ephemera in a pocket. And then I printed some 3x3 photos of, so that's my house. Let's see, here's Pumpkin. We relocated his like food and water and kind of shifting stuff around in the house because since this point, I got like new furniture in my living room, so I had to like readjust where everything was going to go. And let's see, we have the tree up because this is right before Christmas when summer's coming home. And people ask me this, whether or not I include stuff for my daughter now that she's moved out to college. And I tend to think of this as my album in my life, so I include her when she's with me. But occasionally I will include something like this. She texted me this photo. She has her stuffed hamster that she loves and still takes with her to college. She took with her to college, and she is, her roommates left some like chips and salsa with her hamster there. And she thought that was very funny. So she sent me a picture. I'm just going to crop this one down because I know I want to include that. So that was just a way that she texted me the picture and I had extra space. So I decided to use it this week. So let's see, I'm going to put this here. So I was reading through my planner, my Hobonichi cousin, to see kind of what I want to document this week. And it was not a very eventful week. My daughter came home from college for Christmas, for winter break on the weekend, at the end of the week. And she was super sick and just kind of spent the weekend in bed and called into work and stuff. So there's that. I might want to document that a little bit. I want to document, I was just super, super busy at work. And then I watched a lot of TV and I had a Zoom call with some friends and I did a December daily life. So that's pretty much like all that happened this week. So I need just a couple like journaling cards. I'm going to look through here. I kind of want to do one that's going to document the TV. I'm not sure if this collection has that or if I'm going to need something from my stash from a different collection, which is fine. I'm just going to kind of go through these and pick out cards. So I'm going to put you guys on fast forward while I go ahead and do that and start getting this one put together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just flip through the cards in the collection. And if you're not familiar with these Becky Higgins core kits, they have multiples of the same card and they are double-sided. So I'm just kind of taking the stack of each set off of the pile at once because they're all the same, and putting them to the side. I am making a little pile of ones that I'm considering to put on my spread, and normally I would just lay it out on the spread, but because there's multiples of the same card, I kind of want to keep them together. So for the cards that I reject, they end up back with the ones that match them in the box. So that's why I'm doing it this way. I'm putting cards to the side or on the spread that I think I'm going to use, and then the ones to the side are the ones that I'm not, minus that one stack there that has the pink heart on it. Those are the ones I'm considering. So I kind of struggled using this collection. This is the 5th and Frolic Edition, which I think has some super, super cute drawings and pictures. Like those florals are they're gorgeous, which is what drew me to this collection in the first place and why I purchased it.
but there's not a lot of white. And if you followed me for a while, you know that I like a lot of super clean, bright whites on my pages. So I kind of struggled working with this collection to not have any white. And so you'll see that I do bring in some white cardstock from my stash to balance out all of the bold colors from this collection. Or not really bold colors, but muted, all the colors from this collection. And I really am not a huge fan of the creams, but if you do like cream, this is a very good collection for you. So I wanted to document my TV shows and movies this week because there were a lot of them. And so I pulled over that Now Watching card from my stash, which is from Studio Calico, and it's one I've been hoarding for a while. And I love that card so much, so I hadn't wanted to use it before because I was hoarding it. And I really want to get out of that habit and just use my supplies. So I'm very proud of myself for using it on this spread. Now I'm looking for one to back these notes. And I do like some of the ones, and looking back on it now while I'm doing this voiceover, I really like how a lot of them look. But because that Now Watching card had some dark colors and the two photos surrounding it also have some dark colors, I really felt like nothing from this collection worked well. So I do end up pulling a piece of white cardstock to use as that background. I really love that card that I put up at the top right that has that typewriter on it. But again, it's that cream color. So what I end up doing is cutting it out and putting it on a piece of white cardstock. And that is a great reminder that if you like cards and you like some elements of them, but you don't love the overall card, you can always adapt it to work with your style. A lot of those cards I selected for the left-hand side, you can see I have them designed where I'm going to crop off pieces of them so that they fit in those 3x3 pockets. So I kept that in mind when selecting which cards I was going to use. I'm just going ahead and working on that now. So I'm cropping down the ones that I want to use over here on the left-hand side, and it helps make the page kind of come together. You can see I also selected some of the journaling card ones that had white backgrounds. There weren't a ton in this collection, but the ones that did have them worked really well for my style. I'm just not a fan of all those muted like beige colors or the off-whites. I just like that bright white. So bringing that in throughout this collection was very helpful for me. And then I'm cropping down some of the cards. I like to use them as embellishments, especially these Becky Higgins core kits, because there's so many of every card and a lot of the sentiments work really well for cutting them down. So I put that one that says keep it simple on the photo with my feet in the snow. And that one was a super cute sentiment, but again, it was on one of those cream colors. So I wouldn't really like it as a filler card, and that's personal preference. You know, it could look great for someone else, but for me, I don't like the cream for that full filler card. But when I cropped it down and made an embellishment out of it, I thought it worked really well. So that was just a way to adapt those cream cards to work with my style. I pulled over some labels from an old set from Kelly Perky Shop, and I used them to add the date on my title card and add a little note there on that photo of Hammy. And I also cut out the Haya from one of the journaling cards to create an embellishment. I'm writing out the TV shows and movies that we watched this week, or that I watched this week. It was a lot for me to watch in 1 week. I have 5 things listed out, but it still wasn't enough to fill the card, and I thought it looked a little silly with that blank space. So I added a label there, and I was able to add a little more journaling about how I was watching a lot of TV this week because I was super stressed and exhausted. So that was a way that I unwind and really kind of relax at the end of the day. So I'm journaling that there. But what I find, and you'll see in a bit, is that because that label is right where it is on the page, these things that I'm putting in the pocket now are going to block part of it. So I end up having to rearrange my right-hand page quite a bit. But for now, I'm creating this pocket. So what I did was I just cropped some white 4x6 or white cardstock to 4x6. And then I found this vellum in my stash, and I created a piece that had a purposely angular edge. And then I stitched it on 3 sides to create a pocket. and I just use some washi tape to hold it in place temporarily. And then I'm slipping these two things into there. You can see what I mean now about this card is sticking up outside of it, blocking off some of that text. So I trimmed it down a little, but I don't want to cut off any of the text on it. So I do end up rearranging this page, but for now I'm putting it aside and working on something else. I pulled over some white word phrase strips from my stash just to have another embellishment to pull from, and added one on that photo of Pumpkin with another cut down card. He's lounging by the fire. I'm creating my own journaling card here using a couple of the journal cards from the collection. I have this one here that has like this pattern on it. I just made a stripe out of it. And then I have another one that has stripes. And then I have the cutout of the typewriter. I apologize that this is going off the page a little bit, but I do end up shifting everything up in a little bit. So you'll see a bit more. I guess I just missed where the line was on my desk. I'm doing my journaling here, and this is just journaling about summer this week. So a lot of the times on these spreads, I like to journal in themes. So this card is everything from this week about summer. So she finished her first semester in college. She came home for the weekend for Christmas break, and she was pretty sick, and she called into work on Sunday because she had a really bad cold when she came home, which is kind of expected when you're living in dorms. I wanted to put some washi tape on here, but this washi tape I had was a little too thick, so I put it on my trimmer there to trim it down a little bit and make it the narrower washi to fit that card. And I added a word phrase strip. On this photo of Pumpkin's feeder, I added another label just to add a little bit of a note about why we moved his feeder, or why I moved his feeder and where I moved it to. And then I'm just going to work on my journaling cards. So this one here, I'm journaling about work, which is super, super busy and stressful right now, or it was during this week. And I don't write a ton about like the real things I'm actually working on at work because there's a lot of confidentiality with that. And it's just not my place to put that in my personal album or on YouTube. But I do want to kind of make a note of what was going on to the extent it impacts the rest of my life. So I'm just journaling about how busy I was this week and how I had a lot of meetings and how many days I was in the office and just kind of generally what I was working on, so that I have that context for why the rest of this week was kind of just watching TV and relaxing, and how my photos are really just like nothing's really happening this week in my photos. And you can kind of tell that, I have a couple of photos of my house. I have my mugs. I have, my living room, my feet. There's just really not anything in these and any activities in these photos. And, that's kind of a good point to kind of bring up, because a lot of people do ask, how do you do Project Life if you don't have kids or if you don't have a lot going on? And I personally say that Project Life is probably more important to me because I don't have a lot going on, because I have the time to work on this project. I have the time to reflect on it, to really focus on it, but it also helps me to see the little things and find the fun details in my day. Maybe nothing really is going on, but maybe, I just want to capture the mug that I used for my coffee in the morning because I like it and it brings me a little bit of joy. Or maybe I just want to take a picture of what my living room looks like right now. There are so many things that you can capture in the everyday of your life that aren't really big stories, but that's really what Project Life is about. It's about capturing those little moments. And that is why I love this project so much, and why I truly believe that anyone can do this project no matter what your life looks like. On that journal card there, I did add some notes about just random stories from the week. And on the Hello Today journal card, I added a couple stories about the craft community and different ways that I was connecting with the craft community this week. I did a December daily live on Instagram, and I had a Zoom call with some craft friends. You saw me rearrange the cards on that right-hand page. Like I said, that was because I didn't want to block that label on that now watching card. And then I'm just going ahead and slipping everything into the pocket. I apologize for my head getting in the way of the camera, but that's how it goes. I was shifting things around on the side to try to make the spread look a little more balanced. And then the last thing there with that photo of the house, I wanted to put a chipboard from my stash just to add a little something. So here's a look at this completed spread. I really enjoyed putting this one together and using up supplies in my stash. I hope that you guys also enjoyed this video and that it inspires you to pull out some of those older kits and put them in your album. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you. Bye.